After the break, practice makes perfect. The royal family press ahead with coronation rehearsals despite a major security alert. Tonight, shocking new details about the murder of a woman who was out shopping. ITV News understands the 31-year-old victim walked past her killer before he turned around, followed her and stabbed her to death. Meanwhile, more locals have been talking about what happened that day.
Oh, so you saw her family?
Yeah, I see him two brother and sisters. Yeah, I see brother and sisters.
And what did you say? What were they saying?
They didn't answer. The girl was just crying, your brother.
Also on the programme, 2 Met officers are arrested after a woman says she was kidnapped, raped and beaten. Practice makes perfect. The royal family press ahead with coronation rehearsals despite a major security alert and...
I thought it was a whole prank, I can't lie. I was like, I don't have time for this, please. But then I went home and asked my mum, she showed me the email, so it's actually true.
We meet the lucky pupils who have been invited along to the King's big day. Good evening. She was stabbed to death by a complete stranger as she made her way home from buying a birthday present in Brixton. But tonight, ITV News has learned shocking details about the attack which left a 31-year-old woman dead. A source who has seen CCTV footage of the attack unfold says the victim simply walked past her attacker before he turned around to follow her. This footage has now been handed to the police. Helen Keenan has the latest.
Where the police cordon stood, flowers now lie for the woman whose life was so cruelly taken just steps away from her home. We understand she'd been buying a birthday present for her mum when a stranger stabbed her to death. Her family running to the scene upon hearing the news, and neighbours describing the comfort they offered.
I see the girls lean up against our gate and me just rub her back like this and say, "It's just Satan, darling. Don't worry, don't cry too much."
Oh,
yeah.
So you saw her family?
Yeah, I see him two brother and sisters. Yeah, I see brother and sisters.
And what did you say? What were they saying?
They didn't answer. The girl was just crying, your brother, just not saying nothing at all.
ITV News has learned that the victim who lost her life here had been at the shops just up here in Brixton when she crossed over the road and passed her attacker. She walked along here, he followed her and stabbed her multiple times.
These cameras overlook exactly where the attack happened. The CCTV has now been handed to police.
We manage the CCTV across the estate. We've got quite a lot of cameras and a central control centre where we're able to review them 24 hours a day. After the tragic incident, we were able to provide the police with footage of what happened, and they looked at it straight away.
We're told violent scenes like these in this area are rare. This section of the pavement is wide, busy and well lit. Never normally a concern, residents are now questioning how safe they are.
I feel a bit scared sometimes because you never know when you come outside the house and this can be happen to you.
It's happened many times in London, very frequently, and it's not just especially in London, is the worst place, and I think it's getting worse. It's not going to be better.
Only a few hundred metres from the scene is Brixton Police Station. Residents tell me they have been asking for more police patrols. This latest incident now raises the question again about what more can be done to protect women against violence in the capital.
We've got to make sure from a young age we are teaching our boys how to respect girls, so if they don't inadvertently think it's okay to treat women and girls differently. We've got to make sure that misogyny, we continue to lobby the government to make misogyny a hate crime. Sexual harassment of women in a public space should be a criminal offence. We've also got to make sure we invest more in the criminal justice system. More police officers, we need courts to be reopened, more investment in the CPS, and we're hoping the government gives us the funding we need to address all these sorts of issues.
We understand the 31-year-old victim had just moved into her first home. The next step in her life stolen from her.
Helen, bring us right up to date then with the investigation. What do you know?
Well, we can confirm that police tonight are investigating a second person in connection with this incident. Now, we also know that a 33-year-old man who's under arrest on suspicion of murder. Officers have now applied for a warrant of further detention at Croydon Magistrates Court, and this has now been granted. So basically what that means is that they now have an additional 36 hours to continue questioning their suspect. Now, if I talk to you a little bit in terms about the community, several people we've spoken to today said they were too scared to go on camera. You know, they're worried about repercussions for maybe speaking out, but the police say they are putting extra patrols in the area and they are listening to concerns. What they really need is for people with information to come forward. And if we could just talk about the victim briefly, she hasn't yet been formally identified, but we do understand a post-mortem examination is expected to take place today.
OK, Helen, thank you very much. Next, keep calm and carry on. As ever, the guiding principle for the royal family after a major security alert outside Buckingham Palace. King Charles and the Queen Consort, along with William and Kate, continued their preparations for the coronation, despite a suspect being arrested for allegedly throwing shotgun cartridges into palace grounds last night. As Rags Martel reports, the incident hasn't dampened spirits.
Patrols outside the palace. Officers out in force this afternoon after a security scare.
This man has approached the gate.
Last night, just after 7 p.m, police restrained a man after he allegedly threw shotgun cartridges over the gates of Buckingham Palace. He was led away, also suspected to be in possession of a knife.
We have got a very, very low tolerance level for anyone that's going to come and disrupt the coronation. And what you would expect to see is very swift intervention from us.
A man was arrested, but police say they're not treating it as a terrorist incident. They describe it more of a mental health issue.
All this a reminder of how the coronation could be disrupted by anyone in the coming days.
We've had months to prepare, but sadly others have had months to prepare as well. So we are working with the intelligence services and working with police forces around the United Kingdom to make sure we're in the best place.
What's the dog's name? This is Doug. Doug, yeah.
On the Mall, police sniffer dogs mingled with the crowd.
Has he found anything in my luggage?
What's he sniffing for? Bombs? Yeah. Has he found any bombs? No.
We're in the safest place in the country right now. Where else do you see this many soldiers, policemen, security guards? They will have been all over that guy within seconds.
Are you worried at all for your safety?
No, I'm not going to let what happened last night overshadow this event. Not interested in that. I'm here for the coronation.
Keep calm and carry on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the King was carrying on, driven to Westminster Abbey this morning almost unnoticed. In 3 days' time, there'll be much more pomp and pageantry for his arrival. With the royal standard raised, a chance for a royal rehearsal behind closed doors. He was followed in by Camilla, who will be crowned Queen on Saturday. Princess Anne was at Wellington Barracks, greeting and thanking some tired members of the household cavalry who were up all night for a dress rehearsal. A huge honour for the Guards, according to the man in charge of the procession.
It means a huge amount. Everybody out there feels a huge sense of pride in being able to take part in an event like this. Very, very few service personnel have the opportunity to take part in the coronation of a monarch, and so we're all really proud, but also determined to do the best we can for the King.
And this was the sight and sound outside Buckingham Palace. In the middle of the night, a taste of what's to come. A final royal rehearsal. But the pomp and circumstance keeping up the royal watchers already sleeping on the Mall.
Did the rehearsal ruin your night's sleep?
It did, but at the same time I enjoy it because I've seen the history.
And it went on for 5 hours. Military bands, Grenadier Guards, every regiment. 5 solid hours of marching.
With security and the rehearsal in place, the only worry now is that rain could spoil the parade. Rags Martel, ITV News, Buckingham Palace.
5 solid hours. Right, our political correspondent Simon Harris is at Buckingham Palace tonight. Simon, how are police preparing ahead of the celebrations this weekend?
Well, Duncan, what the police are facing on Saturday are the twin challenges of a huge security operation and a massive exercise in crowd control. First of all, the spectators, certainly tens of thousands of them, possibly hundreds of thousands, have to be got safely into place along the route of the procession. The task then becomes one of preventing any disruption. We heard from the Met in Rag's report. Senior officers say there will be a very low threshold before they take action against any potential threat. They're not taking any chances, and that action will be swift. To a certain extent, the police might be helped by the size of the crowd. The larger the crowd, the more it could assist the police. It would be a very brave individual who decides to leap the barriers or cause a disturbance surrounded by so many people who are obviously here because they support the royal family. That said, the anti-monarchist campaign group Republic says it will hold what it believes will be a large demonstration in Trafalgar Square on Saturday, which is along the route of the royal procession.
Simon at Buckingham Palace, thank you. To other news now, and 3 men have been jailed for their roles in a county lines operation supplying drugs to Hatfield in Hertfordshire. 2 children they were exploiting to carry out their activities have since been safeguarded. Samir Mustafa and twin brothers Malik and Omar Aziz, all 24, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to sell crack cocaine and heroin. A court has been shown footage of Met officer Imran Mahmood tasering Jordan Walker-Brown in lockdown in May 2020. PC Mahmood is accused of grievous bodily harm. The officer says he used reasonable force. Walker-Brown is now paralysed from the chest down due to injuries sustained in the incident. And the Mayor has celebrated reaching his housing target of starting 20,000 council homes by 2024. He visited a site in Brent to mark the occasion. Conservative Assembly member Andrew Boff said Sadiq Khan was marking his own homework and the government's set target hadn't been met. Next tonight, yet more accusations are being directed at Met police officers. 2 who were off duty have been arrested for allegedly kidnapping, beating and raping a woman. Andrew Misrat joins me now. Andrew, what more do we know about these kidnapping allegations?
Well, Duncan, as you say, the alleged incident happened in Kingston on Sunday. The 2 officers involved, who were both in the North West Command Unit, were off duty at the time. 1 police constable was arrested on suspicion of rape, common assault and kidnap. He's been released on bail until June in relation to the rape allegation and won't face any further action on the other 2 claims. A 2nd police constable was arrested on suspicion of kidnap and possession of Class A drugs, while a 3rd man, who's not in the police, was held on suspicion of kidnap. Those 2 latter men will not face any further action, but the matter has been referred to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC. This all has to be taken in the context, though, of the Met Police Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, saying only last month that dozens of police officers have had to be redeployed from tackling serious crime to investigating wrongdoing within their own force after the convictions of David Carrick and Wayne Couzens. And stories like this one tonight don't do anything to enhance the Met's reputation at a time when the bad headlines only seem to keep on turning.
Andrew, thank you. Andrew Misra there at New Scotland Yard. Still to come on the programme, we'll have the weather forecast as we edge towards the Coronation weekend, plus...
The road is long, but I ran it. Janet. There's a fire in my heart and you fan it. Janet. If there's one fool for you, then
Presenter turned stage actor Ore Aduba on the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And Sally has been to meet some school children gearing up for the coronation. But first, he once admitted to wasting £1 million on Class A drugs, and since his addiction, he's been very open about his journey to recovery. DJ Fat Tony, who's a close friend of the Beckhams, is now using art to help others who are struggling to turn their lives around. He's joined forces with artist Ed Worley to try to confront the stigma surrounding addiction. Cafo Pata has been to meet them.
If you met me when I was drinking, you'd know what boring was.
He's one of the biggest names in UK music. For years, DJ Fat Tony blew fans away with his electric sounds. He lived a rock and roll lifestyle until a drug and alcohol addiction sent him to rock bottom.
I had no teeth. I pulled all my own teeth out. I was psychotic. I would rock backwards and forwards, thinking that that was normal. I went out for I'd go out and not come home for 4 days. Then I was homeless. I lost everything to addiction, absolutely everything.
Today, now 16 years sober, he's teamed up with the artist Ed Worley, and the pair are using their work to help treat the stigma of addiction.
Uphill hopes, downhill habits. That was 100% me through active addiction. Sitting on my own in a bedroom or on the street and trying to find somewhere to sleep, but still believing I was living a rock star life.
And this is looking for love in all the wrong places. We have habits of trying to find light in dark places.
Each of these pieces have a unique and personal story, whether it's the consequences of taking drugs or the struggles of rehab.
Very fortunate enough to be sent to rehab. I went away for 5 months, and that helped to change my life. That helped to cement a better way of living.
Without recovery, without going through that process, and it was a hard journey, but as I said, it was the best thing I've ever done, I wouldn't be in this position to work with Tony and to be able to put exhibitions on, because I couldn't organise anything. I was sleeping on the tube.
From the bottom to now on top of their lives, one can't deny how far these two have come. The hope now is that their story will help and inspire other addicts. Kath Opato, ITV News, Qantas Gallery.
And if you've been affected by any of the issues in Kath's report or need help with addiction yourself, there is advice on our website at itv.com/London. OK, the ITV News continues at 6:30. Let's have a look ahead now with Charlene.
Coming up, security ramps up in the capital ahead of Saturday's coronation. Last night, a rehearsal of the procession took place. Now, officers reveal the scale of the policing operation. We'll have the details. A 14-year-old in Serbia kills 8 children at a primary school shooting. And we have a special report looking back on the life of the country's future queen, Camilla, and her path to royalty. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
OK, there has been a major update involving one of our biggest tennis stars. Let's get the details now in the sport.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Emma Raducanu has announced she will miss both the French Open and Wimbledon this year as she recovers from hand and ankle surgery. The Bromley-based British #1 posted a picture from her hospital bed after having the hand surgery and plans to have a procedure to solve ankle issues in the coming months. In a handwritten statement, she said, "It pains me that I will miss the summer events, and I tried to downplay the issues, so I thank all my fans who continue to support me when you did not know the facts." And in football, Arsenal bounced back from their defeat to Manchester City with a 3-1 victory over Chelsea. Captain Martin Ødegaard opened the scoring with a fine effort and added another shortly after before Gabriel Jesus, I think, but the Gunners put the Gunners 3 up within 35 minutes. An embattled Chelsea pulled one back, but their tough run continues. This result being their 6th loss in succession. Now, it was premiered in front of just 63 people in the capital in 1973 after the writer put it together as a bit of fun. But now, the Rocky Horror Show is celebrating its 50th anniversary and has been seen by a staggering 30 million people during that time.
The river was deep, but I swam it. Janet. The future is ours, so let's plan it. Janet. So please don't tell me to can it. Janet. I've one thing to say, and that's damn it, Janet. I love you.
Or do, but they're in one of the less out there outfits, and he is joining me now because he is rejoining the show during its celebratory year. Hello, Warren, how are you?
Oh, good evening, Duncan. I'm so happy to be joining you from the Peacock Theatre in the centre of London. Well, like you said, Rocky Horror is celebrating 50 years since its inception back in 1973. I can't tell you, the excitement in that building right now is palpable. I've known I've been doing this for a year, let alone 50 years of history with the Rocky Horror. So we know that there are going to be reams and reams of excited, corset-laden, heel-wearing fans that are going to be in this building in the next couple of hours. So it's going to go off.
Are there any other kind of fans, Ore? That's my question. So can you believe that it started out so small at the Royal Court Theatre?
It's bonkers when you made me laugh when you mentioned that 63 people at the Royal Court Theatre, the other side of London. And I've spoken to some of the original cast in the last few weeks, and for them it was only a few weeks. It was just a quick gig. You know, Richard O'Brien wrote some of these songs overnight, and nobody had a clue that this show would become the phenomenon that it has become over the last 50 years. You know, it's been a constant thread in society. Everybody has danced a time warp at a school disco or a wedding, let alone here at the theatre with all of us. And when they do, I can't tell you, when you see the entire theatre up on their feet, doing the time warp, there is no atmosphere like it. So I feel so privileged to be part of it. And I know that everybody that will be in there, cast, crew, production, audience members, they can guarantee themselves one of the best nights out, especially that it's the 50th. So it's going to be a party times 1,000, if I can put it that way.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Because the audience are encouraged to get involved. I mean, what kind of things happened during your last run, Ore?
What kind of things happened during the last run? Well, I mean, what's great about Rocky is that every night, because of the audience interaction, there is a unique atmosphere that's created every single time. There's this kind of unwritten script that the audience engage with, and it's kind of like a tit for tat, a back and forth between the audience and us on stage. So it's wonderful. But for me, what's so lovely, and I joined this cast straight out after lockdown, after COVID, and we didn't know people were going to come. So after COVID, seeing people queuing around the block, wearing all of the full Rocky gear, whether it's sequin top hats or corsets, like I said, or suspenders or stockings, whatever their creed, whatever their background, whatever their age, was something special. Fast forward 2 years to be here on the 50th anniversary, I know that everybody's going to do the same. By the way, it's not contractual. If you want to come and join us here at the Peacock, you don't have to come dressed up. You just might be one of the odd ones out. It is just a really wonderful, engaging, interactive night out where everybody is free to be themselves and be who they want to be and be in a room full of like-minded people. And that is why the atmosphere on a Rocky Horror Show is like nothing else.
Well, that sounds perfect. We'll let you get back to rehearsals in your fishnets. Ore, brilliant to speak to you again. Take care. Thank you, Ore.
We're going to be doing the time warp out of here, aren't we?
Once the cameras are off us. Okay. Yes, Ali.
Once the cameras are off, sorry.
So yesterday, I asked you about the weather for the coronation, and you gave me that well-known meteorological term, like that.
You can always rely on me.
I mean, are you downgrading now? That's the sense I'm getting from you.
Yeah, it's not getting any better at the moment. The thing is, it's not like a complete washout. There are going to be dry periods. There is going to be a bit of sunshine. Forget sunshine, it's going to feel quite nice, but there is going to be rain in the mix as well, and possibly rain when we don't want it. So it's looking like Saturday morning might be all right at the moment, but then it gets a bit wetter on Saturday afternoon, just as everyone comes out into the procession. There is a little bit of uncertainty still, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on the forecast, but, you know, we can keep everything crossed.
Yeah, maybe being inside the carriage is probably the best thing. I don't know.
It's all right for some, isn't it?
The thing is, today was actually quite lovely, wasn't it?
I know, well, that's it. When the sun comes out, you're really hot. I was wearing a really hot pink coat and wish I hadn't been. But anyway, other royal events have survived the weather. So should we take a little look back in time?
Oh, I'd love
to.
Go on.
Meghan and Harry's wedding? Look at
Bright
that.
skies, I remember.
That was the 19th of May, 2018. 21, 22 degrees, sunny and warm. So that was a nice one, wasn't it?
Yeah, blue skies.
We can have that again. Then we had Kate and Will's wedding, the Prince and Princess of Wales now. That, can you believe it? That was 2011.
Yeah.
Same year I got married. That was sunny spells, mostly dry. Again, 20 degrees.
Nice.
and
Not too
then
hot.
The Queen's coronation. Well, that was later in the year. That was June. And that was quite cloudy with some rain. And that was only 12 degrees. So maybe it's a coronation thing, who knows. But it is going to be a bit warmer this time round. So at least we've got that to look forward to. Anyway, fingers crossed. Here we go.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles. Car, charger, and energy.
Well, I hope you had a lovely day. Tomorrow's not looking too bad. It's going to be warmer, still a little bit breezy, mostly dry. And then as we head into Friday and, of course, the bank holiday weekend and the coronation, we are going to get some showers at times. But where we get the sunshine, it should feel quite nice and warm. So let's kick off with tonight, and could get a decent sunset with that high cloud. And overnight, a mixture really of some cloud, some clear spells. We keep a little bit of that breeze, and that should stop us getting a frost, but the temperatures are still dropping down into single figures. And then as we head on into Thursday, not too bad. We have got probably a bit more cloud tomorrow, not quite as bright as today, but hopefully get a little bit of sunshine breaking through. Still a bit breezy, perhaps even a little bit windy at the coast, and cooler there, but across the board, a warmer day, highs of 18 to 20, could be one of the warmest days of the year so far. And it stays pretty pleasant into the evening, just the chance of the odd shower cropping up here and there, but most of us staying dry. Now, as we head into the outlook, low pressure becomes a little bit more dominant, and so on Friday, the chance of some heavy showers, possibly even thunderstorms, more likely into the afternoon, but also some dry weather, warm in the sunshine. On Saturday, after a dry start, we're watching that rain move our way. A bit of uncertainty, though, as to timings. And then into Sunday, once again, the threat of some showers, more likely into the afternoon, but you may avoid them and stay dry. And where you get the sunshine, as I said, those temperatures are quite nice and mild. So worth keeping an eye on the forecast for whatever your plans are. And note the UV as well. If you are in that sun, those levels are moderate. And that is it for now.
ITV London Weekday Weather is sponsored by Octopus Electric Vehicles.
Well, at least it's not terribly cold. Now, you've been getting in the coronation spirit today, haven't you?
Well, I have now. Question.
Go on.
How many books do you reckon you could read in a year?
I've got a target of 15 this year.
Okay.
I mean, it will be ambitious if I get there.
OK, then don't listen to the girl who talks at the beginning of this story.
She's going to shame me.
Well, the girls who I met today, there's about 15 of them. They love reading and they're going to the coronation. They've got themselves a golden ticket because of the reading projects that they've been involved in. But as I said, read rather more many than... Get my words out. You see, this is the problem.
You need to read a book
I need to read a few
Sally.
books. Let's take a look at how they got their tickets. Here we go. How many books do you read a year, Ella?
Well, last year I counted and I read 176 books.
176 books. Fair play to you. That's amazing. Oh, I feel really embarrassed. I'm not going to... I think it's still in single figures.
Reading is power, so it says in the girls' library. It's also a ticket to the coronation in a roundabout way.
Does it feel special going to the coronation?
Yeah, I'm really grateful to have this opportunity because it's like a historic event, once in a lifetime thing.
And no doubt something the 15 students from Highbury Field School will never forget. They'll sit in the church next to the Abbey, see the procession and, importantly, get fed.
OK, so you're getting breakfast, are you?
Breakfast and lunch, double whammy.
Wow.
So how did they get an invite? Well, the Queen Consort is patron of the National Literacy Trust, which has supported Get Islington Reading, and the girls have been part of that. Through it, they've been involved in many projects with reading at the core.
We started at the start of Year 12, where we go every Thursday morning, and during form time we read with the Year 7s. And it's been a joy to see their reading progress over the weeks.
I think it's really opened their eyes to reading beyond the classroom and the value of literacy, writing, reading and expressing yourself beyond what happens in school.
Reading aside, though, there is another important point here. What on earth are they going to wear?
Are you panicking over what you're going to wear, or is this...
I think my mum was a lot more stressed than me. But yeah, yesterday she had it sorted.
Perfect. You got something nice and smart.
Yeah.
Their head of English, being 38 weeks pregnant, thought it best not to risk a coronation baby, but she is wishing them a wonderful experience and...
a good lunch.
And a good lunch. We have had lots of conversations about what is going to be in the lunch. And, although I'll be on maternity leave, I'll be sure to check in and see exactly what was on the menu. Yeah.
And tasty or otherwise, it's unlikely to be a moment they'll forget. Sally Williams, ITV News, Islington.
It's all about the food, isn't it? Right, that is it from us. Charlene is here next with the ITV Evening News, and I'll be back with our late update tonight. But for now, thank you for watching and have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.